Culture breeds excellence. Excuse me. That's a phrase that's been sticking in my mind lately with our Philadelphia sports team. Culture breeds excellence. And why am I thinking about it today? Because of Jalen Hurts, because of Jalen Hurts' disrespect, because of the way the Phillies and the Sixers and the Flyers organizations are run. Culture breeds excellence. We're going to talk about it. We got lots happening, trending in the AM. Phillies, Eagles, Sixers, NBA draft. Trending in the AM, we start live, taking your opinions in 30 seconds. And a very good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM right here on the STT Sports Network. We're live. YouTube and Twitter, you know the drill. Wherever you're watching, please hit that like button. Please share this out and, of course, subscribe. It is free to do. The only free thing you'll do today is like, share, subscribe, and vote on our poll on YouTube. Guys, let's get it going. I am your host, Phil Stiefel. We got lots to talk about today. Phillies win their 5th in a row. The NBA Finals Game 5 is over, so we're getting closer to the NBA draft. Next Wednesday brings the Sixers, unfortunately, back into the conversation, and the Eagles. And the disrespect for Jalen Hurts, even in our own city, continues. And that gets me talking about culture, breeding, excellence, which is the topic of the show. Culture breeds excellence. Culture trumps all. Eagles culture trumps all. And we're gonna talk Sixers in a moment. And our poll question today, brought to you by no sponsor whatsoever on YouTube, is: would you trade Tyrese Maxey for 4 or more first-round picks? Question being asked because the topic was brought up yesterday after the crazy Desmond Bane trade to the Orlando Magic. Desmond Bane, fetching 4 first-round picks. Would you consider trading Tyrese Maxey for 4, 5 picks? So I'm going to throw that out there to the poll, to the audience to vote on today. So please make sure you vote after you hit that like and that share and that subscribe button. Phillies win last night. We'll talk about that as well. But I guess that correlates to this culture thing as well. Maybe why I don't have the complete confidence in the Phillies yet, because that culture just doesn't seem to be similar to the Eagles culture. So why do I have this whole culture breeds excellence and Eagles culture trumps all as my title, as my thought process, as my kicking off point for today's show? Well, because the nitwits over at WIP, are doing their yearly top 11. I don't even know where this comes from. Why is it top 11 instead of top 10 or whatever? Top 11 athletes in Philadelphia. And a couple of the hosts do not. No, we're not just talking about number one. We don't even have Jalen Hurts in their top 11 current Philadelphia athletes. Now, I know that that's a clickbait thing, and it's worked because I'm falling for it too. If they want to say he only threw for 2,800 yards and this and that, and it was Saquon in the offensive line and whatnot, you would think, I get it, if Chris Simpleton or Dan Sillyman want to still nationally crush Jalen Hurts, Ryan Clark, any of those guys. But how is it even remotely possible that not one of those spots in your top 11 list would go to Jalen Hurts? Jalen Hurts is the best athlete in Philadelphia, the best player on any of the 4 major sports teams in Philadelphia. He is the reigning Super Bowl MVP of the team that just won that Super Bowl. And 1 or 2 hosts are going to say he's not a top 11 athlete in this city. Get the fuck out of here with that. It's disrespectful. It's blatant clickbait that makes you realize these guys are running out of things to talk about. Let's get to some of the first early comments here. Good morning, Adam. Yes, we started today at 540 subscribers. Only up we could get. Well, I shouldn't say that because we have gone down before. Let's keep rolling that number up, and we do that by sharing, by liking, subscribing, voting on the poll. Good morning, Little G. Hope you are well. Anthony, what's up? I would do that Maxey trade in a second. He's a good player, but not a guy that will carry a team. Yeah, that's true. You say some very true things here about Tyrese Maxey, but let me remind you, Drew Holiday was not a guy that could carry a team, and you traded him away, and he went on to be Defensive Player of the Year, a multi-time NBA champion, an all-star, a great basketball player as the 2 or 3. And I'm not saying I wouldn't do the trade. I'm just putting out the counter. Just another idea in this Tyrese Maxey situation. And if you could get 5 first-round picks, you kind of have to trade them at this point. But it doesn't necessarily mean it would work out in our favor. Tyrese Maxey is the best player on the Sixers right now because he's the available player on the Sixers right now. Plays the most. Good morning, Eric. How you doing today? I'd rather not trade Maxey for 4, but if we could keep 3rd pick and draft Bailey, I wouldn't be mad. So you're saying you would trade him as long as we have the 3rd pick, draft Ace Bailey, and then move on from him. Obviously, we a lot of us would like to see Paul George moved. I get it. Good morning, Doug. Hope you're doing well. Marshawn, I would move Joel first before. Obviously, we'd move Joel. We'd move Paul George. I get it. And I don't think there's any rumors, Marshawn, that legitly they're shopping Tyrese Maxey. There might be some secret deals that they're trying to shop Joel or Paul George. But I don't think they're shopping Maxey. This came up yesterday, and it's coming up on social media because of the Desmond Bane trade, which was just insane. 4 first-round picks for him. But I understand what Orlando was doing. Now, if Desmond Bane could fetch 4, Maxey definitely could, possibly 5. You can reshape your organization. You get 5 first-round picks for Maxey. Then you can attach one of those first-round picks to move Joel or move Paul George and then keep pick 3. I mean, if I was going to be under the gun, would I trade Maxey? No. I'd rather trade McCain over Maxey. Maxey has started getting frustrated at this club, and he can't grow here. I've suggested this, Duck, and you probably heard me talk about it. Last year at times, Tyrese Maxey definitely lost his smile, if that's the way to say it, his spark, for sure. He's grown up. He's matured in the NBA. He knows who he is now in the NBA to an extent, and he knows that this Philadelphia Sixers team sucks and isn't going anywhere. Hurts went to 2 Super Bowls, won 1, and got the MVP of the Super Bowl. He should be the top athlete of the city. Exactly, Adam. And the fact that WIP, like if you want to say right now that Saquon is 1 and Jalen Hurts is 2, because, you know, Saquon Barkley is only the 9th running back in the history of the NFL to rush for over 2,000 yards. All right. I guess I can accept that for right now. But when you leave him off your top 11 list, all you're doing is telling the world, I don't care about real opinions. I just care about saying something stupid to make people listen. That's the only way we can continue to dominate the ratings is by saying the most nonsensical shit in the world to get clicks. We're talking 3 unprotected first and 2 pick swaps. No way Maxey goes for 5. I think the Bane was 4 firsts and 2 pick swaps. I think it was 3 unprotected, a protected, and so technically there were 6 picks involved in the Desmond Bane thing. 2 were swaps, 4 were picks, 3 were unprotected. Now, Tyrese Maxey, if it was 5 firsts, yeah, it'd be 3 protected or 3 unprotected, 2 unprotected. Throw in a couple pick swaps. You also got to take back salary as well, because obviously he's signed to a max contract. I'm not interested in trading Tyrese Maxey. I'm just asking the question because I think it's a relative question, and there are people that want to do it. Now, again, I remind people, trading a star young point guard. What was Drew Holiday when we traded Drew Holiday away in that awful draft deal? Wasn't he like 23 or 24, about the same age as Tyrese Maxey? And at least he had a defensive acumen as well as, I think Tyrese Maxey got better defensively last year. What's up, Pump Man? Draft ace number 3, trade Embiid for Jack Lindell and re-sign Grimes. You know, draft ace Bailey, I'm leaning that way right now, Pump. We'll see what happens. Re-sign Grimes, yeah, they're going to try. But the middle part of your comment, just basically trade Joel Embiid for anything. It sounds so much easier to a fan to type that or comment that or tweet that than it actually is. With the contract he's got and the fact you got to match salaries and the Sixers are already over the trade apron or the tax apron, it's damn well near impossible to do. And I tried yesterday. ESPN's trade machine isn't updated for this upcoming season yet. So it's still got last year's salaries on it. So I couldn't quite figure out the salary match. I went to like 7, 8 different teams. Couldn't figure it out. Because it's going to be that complicated. Hurts made a Super Bowl without Saquon. Saquon did nothing without Hurts. Great point. Plus, quarterback is just a more important position. KC stacked the box in the Super Bowl, and the Eagles still put up 42 points. Yeah, I get that. I'm just saying, if you wanted to say Saquon 1, Hurts 2 on your top Philly athlete list, because of that amazing season, like it was an all-time great running back season. Because of that, I wouldn't argue. I wouldn't like it. I would disagree because of things you said here. And I don't think when people talk about quarterback ranking lists and athlete lists and all this stuff, they just look at the arm strength of a quarterback. They just look at, their check downs or their progressions. They also don't look at the title of the show. Culture trumps all. Culture breeds excellence. Jalen Hurts with Nick Sirianni has set up a culture here with the Eagles where every single player is bought in, that it's team before individual. And I don't think that gets weighed in enough. The leadership aspect does not get weighed in enough when we're talking about our athletes in this city. The Charles Barkley story about Embiid at practice shows how much of a loser Embiid is. Refresh me on that one. I know Dr. J basically said, if Joel wanted advice, I'd sit down and talk to him, but he's never sat down with him. I've heard that. Embiid is in the way. Maxey needs that dude to be out of the. Yeah, I mean, I hate it. I hate to say it. I don't want to lose Joel Embiid in this city, but I'm finally on that train. That fine. If you want to trade him, trade him. I'm over it. I'm over the Joel Embiid situation. I'm over the entire Sixers. You're going to trade Maxey? Well, you better trade Embiid and George too. Just trade it all and start all over again. And I'm okay with that. I don't like it, but I'm okay with that. But Embiid is not going anywhere. Because who's dumb enough to take Joel Embiid at this point? Tyrese Maxey is Shawn Michaels losing his smile. That's a great one right there. Great pull right there. 4 or 5 picks kind of makes up for Morey's botched moves and now allows the Sixers to follow a more proven blueprint of OKC. You have McCain on a rookie deal and you can move Embiid and Paul George. Yeah, I mean, look, if you can get 5 picks for Tyrese Maxey, 3 unprotected, 2 protected, 1 heavily protected, 1 mid protected, whatever. I'm just making up a random scenario. Then you can use those protected picks, attach them to Embiid and Paul George and get rid of them. And then you got to hope that Daryl Morey drafts well as well. You need Eagles culture trumps all. Culture breeds excellence. Sixers culture is so far away from what Eagles culture is. And it's because of Joel Embiid. It's because of Paul George, Daryl Morey, Nick Nurse. This team needs a culture reset, the Sixers. Unfortunately, you might have to trade Maxey to do that to help facilitate everything else. But that's just as important as that's holding this team back is the culture as the injured players. Bain went for 2 first swaps too. It was 4 picks. I think it was 3 unprotected, 1 protected, and 2 pick swaps. It's insane. Now, Marshawn, I don't know if you were listening to the part of the show yesterday where we talked about this. I have no beef with what Orlando did. Did they overpay? 98% sure they overpaid for Desmond Bain. But Orlando's got a young team. The Orlando GM, executive, whoever's in charge there, thinks they are one player away from competing with Indiana for the Eastern Conference. They've got a nice young team. They needed a shooting guard, a guy that could score, a guy that could just shoot. They went out and got the guy they thought would put them over the top, just like the Nets overpaid in a trade for Bridges last offseason. I don't fault GMs for swinging for the fences. Now, you better pay for the consequences if it doesn't work out. Like Daryl Morey, I didn't like him bringing in Paul George. It didn't work out. Well, he's not paying for the consequences. That's my problem. I need a haircut. I know I need a haircut and a beard trim. I got it. Good morning, Davey. I know. I got to see my guy. I normally do it myself. We got a vacation coming up, so I'm going to pay somebody to do it nice, tight, and professional. Try to make that appointment today. I know. We are the only fan base that quick to tell people what they won't give for our players. We are wired to be trade apologists. That's interesting. Interesting way to look at it. Sixers are a waste of time, Davey. But I think the Sixers and the Phillies are great in the sense of, talking about what makes Jalen Hurts so special and his leadership and his culture and his attitude. And it trickles down to the rest of the organization with the Eagles. The Phillies and the Sixers don't have that, especially the Sixers. I mean, with the Phillies last night, there was a point early in the game, and I know the Phillies won 5-2. Mick Abel was pitching a heck of a game last night. Got pulled too early after 5 innings. I think it was in the second or third inning. He threw a pitch, right down the plate. I think it was a good 2 inches in above the bottom of the strike zone. And the ump called it a ball. He proceeds to give up a base hit, drives in a run, I believe. I know that batter got on base. I forget the exact situation. And what does Rob Thompson do? Nothing. No shouting, no screaming, no calling out. Because the culture for the Phillies is No one stands up for each other. But you know how dumb Morey is. He would trade Maxey and keep – he probably would, Adam. He would probably trade Maxey so that he could trade those draft picks for another aging superstar. He'll trade Maxey to get draft picks to trade for Kevin Durant. And that'll really work out. Davey says Saquon 1, Jalen Carter 2, Jalen Hurts 3. Now, I can understand Saquon because, yes, Davey, Saquon's coming off one of the greatest running back seasons in the history of the NFL. Jalen Carter's a young rising star. I don't think he's over Hurts yet. But I get it. But when you clearly purposely leave him off your top 11 list entirely, you're literally trying to piss people off. And it's working. Eric agrees with you, Davey. I mean, again, I still would put Hurts 1. I would put Jalen Carter 2, and I would put Saquon 3. But that's just me. Are you finished, Better Call Saul? If so, I have never watched Better Call Saul. We watched Breaking Bad early this year or late last year. Phenomenal. I do got to get on Breaking. Here's the question. A couple of shows I've never watched. Better Call Saul and Game of Thrones. Which one should we watch next? I'm thinking Better Call Saul because it'll be more up my wife's alley too. She'll enjoy it too. But we'll get to that soon. Embiid is my favorite player. I'm ready to move on. Knicks would take Embiid in a heartbeat. For what, though? To trade with the Knicks, you basically are going to have to take on Karl Anthony Towns. They're not getting rid of Brunson. They're not getting rid of, I mean, you could trade for 3 of their players, but they wouldn't get rid of 3 of their players. OG's not enough to match salaries. Bridges isn't enough to match salaries. They wouldn't get rid of both those guys in this scenario. Yeah, they would trade for Embiid. Absolutely. But I'm not taking Karl Anthony Towns to make that happen. So in turn, they cannot trade for Joel Embiid. But trading Maxey does not solve the Embiid issue we are still living with. Well, in theory, you would trade Maxey, acquire, say, 5 first-round picks, protected and unprotected combo, and then you can use one of those protected picks to attach to Embiid to maybe entice a team. Just throwing that part of it out there. Orlando corrected that KCP overpay heavily. They did. That's another big part of that deal right there. Hurts has Brady-esque intangibles. He will keep improving. Now, Davey, I do the Eagles check down every morning on the Eagles Pinpool Podcast Network, a quick 5 to 8 minute podcast recording. And I talked about this on this morning's episode. I don't know if you listened and that's where you brought this up, or if you're just on the same wavelength as me. Culture breeds excellence. What did Jalen Hurts do after 22 when they lost in the Super Bowl? He went and spent time with Tom Brady learning. Not how to throw a better back shoulder throw, how to be a better leader, how to be a better worker, how to lead a locker room better. You know, Jalen Hurts, it was circulating again when his agent, football president of Clutch Sports, Nicole Lynn, was talking about the contract signing. Jalen Hurts didn't want to be the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. His exact words to her were, you got to sign get me a contract that doesn't screw the team, that makes sure this team stays together. Show me the salary cap breakdown on my contract so I know how it's going to affect the team and who they're going to be able to retain. Jalen Hurts made it so A.J. Brown could be extended, Devontae Smith could be extended, so they could go get a Saquon Barkley. Jalen Hurts thinks big picture. Jalen Hurts thinks, how can I make this team the best? Not, how can I win the regular season MVP? Great point. Hurts has improved so much since then. He has. And again, he has attached himself to Tom Brady, to Michael Jordan. All-time greats to learn not how to just win championships, how to lead your team to championships. I don't even know. I saw Jalen Hurts wasn't on it, and I got pissed. I would prefer Better Call Saul. Game of Thrones is great, though. Yeah, I think Game of Thrones is more my taste versus my taste and my wife's taste. So, yeah. Better Call Saul. Game of Thrones focused a little too much on sex scenes. Took a lot away. That's an interesting way to put it. But I get what you're saying there, right there. Gratuitous sex just for gratuitous sex could ruin the show. It makes sense if Hurts talks to Brady regularly. Now, I don't know if he's talking to him still, but there was that big, 8-page ESPN article after the 22 Super Bowl loss about Jalen Hurts, and there was a whole page dedicated to the time spent just talking to Tom Brady in that offseason. We are in great hands with quarterback one, Davey. Absolutely. And guys, everybody watching, please, if you haven't already, hit that like button, share button, subscribe. Please vote on our poll. Would you trade Tyrese Maxey for 4 more first-round picks? Yes, no. No, but for 5, you are crazy for asking. One person did say I was crazy for asking. I'm just giving you what the people want. We are safe with Jalen Hurts. We are. Noom says, I don't ever want to see Otto Kemp miss a 75-mile-an-hour hung curveball down the middle of the plate. Don't miss any. I must have missed that part of the game last night. Maybe it was when I was recording Party on Broad's show last night. Look, Phillies had a good win last night. They're, 5 in a row now after that sweep of the Pirates. 6 of their last 7, whatever it is. Now 2 games out of first place again behind the Mets, who are doing the Met thing. But who is leading Phillies culture? We got Eagles culture. And that culture has bred excellence in a Super Bowl championship. 2 Super Bowl appearances in 3 years. The chance to go to another one this year. The Phillies don't have that culture. They don't have that leader. They don't have that guy that keeps everybody together. Well, I don't think Cat is better than Bede. I'd be willing to take him straight up because of the ability to be able to move him easier later if he's not a good fit. Availability is the best ability. Yeah, I mean, I can't believe I would even consider saying this. I'd rather deal with will Joel Embiid play or not than having the softest center in NBA history. I mean, Cat is the softest Charmin. Cat is not a good basketball player. I mean, well, he's a good basketball player, better than me, but he's the most overhyped basketball player out there on a big contract like that. The dude puts up shallow stats, big time. Big stats, but they're shallow and hollow. He's not a team. We're talking about culture. We're talking about locker rooms. Cat destroys locker rooms. He really does. I wouldn't know who voted I'm crazy. I'm sorry. I don't know. I mean, the only guy that votes the only guy that shows up every morning to chat with me, but criticizes me at every turn. That's probably who it was. I don't know who that is. I'm talking about a theory that I have of somebody, but I don't know who that is. Davey asks, Phil, what position will Howie sign in his usual mid-March move during camp? Well, first off, the fact that you put mid-August, I love that. Because I've been preaching for weeks that Howie is not signing anybody now. Justin Simmons isn't coming. Jair Alexander's not coming right now. He's not trading for Hendrickson or Watt. There will be no new additions except for undrafted free agents, practice squad level players. He'll probably change the spots 90 to 93 100 times over the next 5 weeks. But there will be no moves made of significance until training camp begins on the 22nd of July, first practice 23rd, and they start practicing. Mid-August is when a move will happen. Who will that be? Or position-wise? It depends on Keely Ringo. It depends on Makuba/Sidney Brown. It depends on Jeremiah Trotter. It depends on Ojulari and Useh. Which position battles turn out to be the weakest? Now, I think that will be safety. I've already got Sidney Brown, in my opinion, on a roster bubble to enter camp, to start camp. I know it sounds crazy, but he's not a Vic Fangio guy. So a safety to me would probably make the most sense. I think that's the position where there's going to be the biggest question mark going into camp. I'll take 7 first for Maxey, nothing less. What did Paul George get traded with that Oklahoma City Thunder trade? Was that 5 unprotected and 2 swaps? I think there was close to 7 picks involved when Paul George got traded at that time. Has to be an edge. Yeah, I mean, I think it's personally safety 1. I would say edge would be 2 if we're going to power rank them. Ojulari, Useh, Nolan Smith, Jelix Hunt. They've got people there. They've got bodies, okay? All of them have proven something at some point in their football careers. Now, could they use depth? Sure. I don't see them going out and getting Trey Hendrickson or TJ Watt or any of those kind of guys. But maybe they get somebody else to add to the equation. I haven't written off Davey, and I've said this a few times, teased it a few times. I would not be shocked. There's 17 people voting. There's not 17 likes, and there's not 17 votes. So everybody watching, like this video and vote on the poll question. I haven't written out. There's a 2%. It starts at 1. Now it's at 2, 3%. Thought in the back of my mind that Brandon Graham's going to come back one more time. One more year. One more year of Brandon Graham. I can see it happening. 1,000% can see it happening. I think Keely will make the step. I think out of the positional battles, Keely's the most likely, in my opinion, to figure it out, to succeed. I mean, I think we forget. A lot of people forget. And even earlier this offseason, I forgot at a moment. People forget that Keely Ringo is only 22 years old, entering his 3rd year in the NFL. He got drafted at such a young age. No wonder it took him time to develop. No wonder it took him time to figure things out. There's people we drafted this year that are already older than Keely Ringo. Ryan Kirking 1 out from his first major league save, throws 3 straight fastballs down the middle. Dude used him in the regular season, keep him out of the postseason. Can I say that I'm the most, out of Phillies bullpen guys, I'm most disappointed in Kirking. We always talk about how Bryson Stott has regressed under Kevin Long, and Brandon Marsh has regressed to an extent under him. What kind of work Kevin Long does with the young hitters. What's going on with Kirkland? When he came up late in 23, I'm like, dude, in 2 years, this guy's going to be the closer of the future of the Phillies. And he's kind of just, was he never really that good? Or has he regressed because of the pitching coach, which was Cade Cotham or whatever his name is? Is any of that on him? We all love our pitching coach because of the starting rotation being elite. But what's he ever done to help the bullpen? What's he ever done to help develop a guy like a Ryan Kirkland? I think it's a question to be asked. You see flashes of greatness in Orion. And then you see not. And it's kind of frustrating. We put a lot of crap on Kevin Long, and rightfully so. But what about, is it Cade Cotham or Cad? I can't remember how to pronounce his name. Safety does make the most sense, plus Lane was bringing up our edge recruits. Yeah, I mean, OTAs, you had Jelix Hunt getting praised by everybody. And then Lane Johnson did, and we covered this a few days ago, Davey. Let me see if I can page far enough back into my notes. I don't even remember how far back I got to go. There it is. That he thought Joshua Uche stood out to him the most in camp. You had Jelix Hunt forcing Jordan Mailata off the field cussing because of how much he was manhandled by Jelix Hunt. And you got Lane Johnson, arguably the greatest right tackle, and not just right now in football, of all time. Okay? Saying that Uche, impressive. Just saying. There's bodies there with pedigrees. There's bodies there that have done it before. Will they be able to do it again? I don't know. Will they be it? I don't know. I know Rick, when he's in the comments, he'll tell you Antoine Ryland Powell, or Powell Ryland, whatever, the rookie, is a guy that's going to step up. And maybe he is. Again, though, this is why mid-August, like you said, like I've been saying for a while, Howie's not making any more adjustments till mid-August, till he sees on the practice field with pads and these guys hitting what he has. Then he'll sit down on August 10th with Vic Fangio and Nick Sirianni and Kevin Patul and be like, guys, who do we need to upgrade? What positions do we need better? Do you guys have your eyes on anybody? And then he'll do it. But he's not going to do it yet. Who wants Maxey that bad that they're willing to trade? Well, obviously Orlando wanted Desmond Bain for 4 first-round picks, mister. So that's where this conversation comes from. I don't think anybody, so to speak, wants to trade Tyrese Maxey. Tyrese Maxey is the lone bright spot in the Sixers organization at this point, or the top bright spot in this organization. But a lot of Sixers fans do see that the Sixers team's not going anywhere. The Sixers team needs to be stripped down and restarted. Right at the top with Daryl Morey. But that's another topic. But if Desmond Bain can fetch 4 first-round picks, the argument is, yes, Tyrese Maxey can fetch at least 4 first-round picks. So what'd you do it? Man, I'm salivating at the thought of us going back-to-back. We should be a 3-ring minimum franchise. Yeah, I mean, Davey, the only thing that can stop the Eagles from winning back-to-back Super Bowls is the Eagles. Whether it's help, whether it's some kind of drama that I can't foresee because the culture has bred an excellence and the culture trumps all with the Eagles, unless there's some kind of a culture issue that creeps up out of nowhere later on, or if a couple major injuries happen, the only thing that can stop the Eagles is the Eagles. I know, they got championships from before the Super Bowl. A lot of fans do not count those. Super Bowl championship rings is what really matters in this day and age for a franchise. If the Cowboys can't talk about, when Cowboys fans brag about all their rings, and you say, well, you haven't won one in 30 years. Well, we can't bring up rings that were won in 60 years ago. Just say. So I just care about Super Bowl rings. Maxey can generate more assets than Bain. Trades and contracts that dictate the market, not our opinion. That's fine. Yeah, it's true. We do not dictate the market. And again, I want to put this out there again. I do not like the idea of trading Tyrese Maxey. I don't. But I see that it might be the best step forward. How long did we sit here as Sixers fans and say, no, we can't trade Joel. No, we can't trade Ben Simmons. That's the core. Let's let them develop. It'll all work out. No. We waited too long. You trade Tyrese Maxey now while he's at his peak? Maybe. Orion has a 2.5 ERA this year. He has big. Yeah, but I don't know, Anthony. I know what his ERA says it is. I don't know if he's just been as good as his ERA says, though. He's had a lot of tough innings, in my opinion. A lot of stressful outs. Like stressful on us. I don't know if he's been 2.54s, which is exact ERA. I don't know if he's been that good. I don't know if he's been able to take that next step in his development. Yeah, I think there was a little sarcasm there. Yes, for sure. Because when the Super Bowl started is when football started, right? That's when football really started becoming a thing. I really went mainstream. The Super Bowl did do that. And guys, there's 16, 18 people watching. We have 11 likes. That means 5 or 6 of you have not hit that like button. And 5 or 6 of you have not voted on our poll. Guys, like, share, subscribe. It means a lot for you guys to do that. It helps grow this show. Helps grow this network. And I'll be live tonight, 6 p.m. with Jason and Steven and special guest, John Morrison of WWE fame. No, I'm just kidding. Scotty Holdridge. Recapping the U.S. Open and breaking down this week's Travelers Championship. So you're going to want to tune in tonight. More great golf content tonight. But the thing with the Sixers and Tyrese Maxey, and the thing with the Phillies, maybe you have to strip things down or make drastic changes to help shift that culture. Because if a culture is holding you back, you got to find out why. Mister, there was a lot of sarcasm in some of the comments from Davey, okay? There was some sarcasm in some of these comments. But anyway, there is no culture with the Sixers. It's negative culture. And I kind of feel like last night I was on Party on Brawl with Dives and Ryan Reese, and we were talking worst coaches and GMs in Philadelphia history. And yes, I put Daryl Morey and Doc Rivers on my list. And that Doc Rivers attitude, culture, losing culture, scheduled loss culture is still seeped into the cracks of the Sixers organization. It's still imprinted in the brain. That's why I always talk about you got to have a good culture for your young players or bad things can become of them. It sets a standard for them. And Doc Rivers set a standard with this team that wasn't acceptable, but it's hard to break. You look at the Thunder and the Pacers. I know the Thunder won last night. I know Tyrese Halliburton's having a terrible finals. T.J. McConnell, great game last night. Getting a lot of love from the announcers last night, which I love to see. The Sixers are so far away from even competing with the Indiana Pacers. Because of culture, because of coaching, because of talent. So you got to find a way to fix that. And maybe starting by trading Tyrese Maxey might be the answer. Again, I don't want to. You need to find somebody. And maybe finding a way to trade both Paul George and Joel Embiid puts Tyrese Maxey in the leadership role of this locker room. And maybe he could change the culture of the Sixers. Maybe he could go spend some time with Jordan and learn how to take over, just like Jalen Hurts did. Something's got to give with the Sixers. It's accurate. Facts. Imagine if Maxey was Monte Ellis 2.0 and McCain would be the next step. Maxey for 4 or 5 picks and Embiid for Cat would be a great start. Then maybe unload Paul George for the Lakers for young players. I could see the Lakers being interested in a Paul George deal. How? I don't know. I mean, they only had to give up 1 pick to get Luka, so maybe they find a way to make it work. And they got some expiring contracts that wouldn't be horrendous to take on. But again, I don't see the Jarrett McCain, Steph Curry comparisons that some of you guys do. But again, you trade Maxey, you do risk another Drew Holiday situation. You traded Drew Holiday too soon. And look at Drew Holiday. In my opinion, Drew Holiday is probably one of the most underrated players in all of NBA right now. Great player, championship player, jack of all trades, plays defense, runs the point, grabs rebounds, scores when necessary. LeBron can't resist big threes on paper. He can't. But you look at the Thunder and the Pacers, how are those teams built? By developing young stars. The key's development. Because Maxey and Embiid are young stars. We came here young. We just didn't develop them all the way. We had a bad culture. How much was Sixers culture part of the problem that brought Joel Embiid to this situation right now? You know, after 22, 23 for the Eagles was a disaster to an extent. Early exit from the playoffs, go from 10-1 to 11-6. Obviously, you had a Hassan Reddick issue on that team. And what did Jalen Hurts do? And the Eagles do? They got rid of the bad eggs. They took some chances. And Jalen Hurts led them to be closer together versus separated. So culture matters. Having a real leader matters. Yeah, Doc Rivers couldn't develop, neither can Nick Nurse. Absolutely. That's why it all needs to change. Good morning, Judd. PG is not enticing them. Greatest roadblock for the Sixers right now is moving off Embiid's contract. Nobody wants to touch it. Yeah, I mean that's part of what the conversation is about. Everyone thinks it's so easy, Judge, to just trade Joel Embiid. Get rid of him. Hell, attach the 3rd pick. Even with the 3rd pick, A, you got to have the contracts to send back, and B, you got to want the guy. And nobody wants him. I wouldn't want him. And it breaks my heart to feel that way about Joel Embiid. I love this guy. I thought he was going to bring us to the promised land. Sixers don't have a good developmental culture. Don't even start talking about winning. I think you're spot on with that, Duck. How can you have a winning culture when you can't develop your players to a winning culture? And so it all starts at the top. Trade him for Bradley Beal, unless Beal realistically says no. I mean, Bradley Beal would just be as much of a disaster. How many more years are left on Beal's contract versus Joel? I know Joel's got 3 more years on his deal. Bradley Beal, if he's got 2, maybe you take a chance. Just straight up flip him. It doesn't have to be Steph just saying if we are fortunate for him, play up to Penn. Yeah, look, yeah. It's not the first person that's used McCain and Curry in the same sentence, and I just think it's far too soon to say that. Far too soon. Phillies, no matter what they say, does have a winning culture. Phillies have a winning culture. I don't know. I'm torn on that. And I want to have this conversation without my biases seeping through, which is very tough to do. Winning regular season culture, sure. Playoff winning culture, maybe not. I know it's hard to win a World Series. It's hard to win a championship in any sport. So maybe you shouldn't rely on that stat alone. But I mean, I just don't see who stood up for McAble last night when the umpire was squeezing him? Who stood up for Bryce Harper when he got plunked for Spencer Strider? Who shows emotion on this team when the going gets tough? You got the organization. You got the best player on the team, Kyle Schwarber, without a contract. We're probably going to lose him after this year. There's still something off with the culture with the Phillies. He could have been a contender. Contender. You got. I like how you spell contender. Contender. That forces me to enunciate the contender. Unfortunately, the finals makes him even less valuable. The younger stars look way more appealing. Absolutely. Now, some would say there's got to be a dumb team out there willing to take a chance on him. Fine. But if any executive out there is watching these finals and thinking trading for an injured 30-year-old star is the way to go, then they're just bad. They're just bad at their job. Remember NFL Films show used to teach us NFL history? Yeah. In a glass half full type of guy, or you're a glass half full type of guy, I refuse to be pessimistic about hypothetical trade scenarios. You can't negotiate out fear and doubt. But if you're scared, get a dog. Imagine a car salesman. Yeah, look. This is all hypothetical anyway, right? In reality, there's a less than 1% chance that the Sixers and Daryl Morey even remotely considering trading Tyrese Maxey. There's almost no consideration of trading Joel Embiid and Paul George. Unless Daryl Morey is just flat out lying to us. Because Daryl Morey has said on multiple occasions this offseason that he is 100% bringing back the big three. And he's going to tweak around the edges. He thinks Ace Bailey or whoever it be in the draft will help put this team over the top, and this team will be healthy. Now, part of me for not trusting Daryl Morey, part of me for not believing that that'll work out in the end. But in reality, if you want the Sixers to contend, taking one more chance like that might be the best bet. We'll see. Retaliation for hit by pitch aren't even a thing anymore and haven't been for over 7 years. Yeah, I get that. Direct retaliation, hitting a batter, it's not a thing. And I brought it up the day after on this show. Should it even be a thing? I get it. But somebody's got to do something to stand up for their team. It's a very passive-aggressive team. I'm a who gives a bleep half is half type guy. Who gives a F? Half is half. I learned so much about Lambeau Field and the Packs in the 50s, 60s when, yeah. Look, a lot of great weather delay things. You know, this used to be my favorite thing when they used to play old Phillies yearbooks during rain delays of Phillies games. Like watching the 93 Phillies yearbook, and about that team's rise to the top. That was always one of my favorites right there. Reminiscing about old teams like that. That was always the way to go. It really was, in my humble opinion. Guys, there's 17 people watching right now. There's only 13 likes. So please, if you haven't, hit that like button. There's only 15 votes on our poll. Would you trade Tyrese Maxey for 4 or more first-round picks? Vote, like. If you haven't already, please subscribe and share this video out, guys. We can watch Jim Brown in color in slow motion, but NBA Finals is the 90s. Still looks like... Gotcha. Yes, that is true. That is true. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about culture. All right? And how much has there been an NBA champion, an football NFL champion, an MLB World Series champion that had bad culture and still won? Was there ever a team that hated each other massively and still won? And it's hard to say yes to that. Because culture matters just as much as talent. Leadership matters just as much as talent. And what brought all this on, if you're joining late, This conversation started because the idiots over at WWWIP, one or two of them, said Jalen Hurts is not one of the 11 top athletes in Philadelphia right now, which is just asinine. And not just because of his talent, but because of the way he leads, the way he's brought about a culture that trickles down. That matters just as much as the fact that he's a great football player. And who is that leader on the Phillies? Who is that leader on the Sixers? Who pushes that winning attitude on our other teams? Nobody. I recorded on VHS the Birds, Boys, and Bad Blood NFL film between the Cowboys and Eagles. Yeah, it's all cool. I'm sure you can find all that stuff online, too. Lombardi was the man. His sweep play was unstoppable. We've been watching him beat his motion for 4 years. Winning comment of the day right now, okay? Winning comment from Adam at this moment right there. The 85 Bears, they hated each other? I mean, you mean the Bears shuffle or whatever that dance was? That didn't bring them closer together as an organization? 86 Mets had many that hated each other. Greg Jeffries. Wasn't Lenny Dykstra on the 86 Mets as well? I forgot Greg Jeffries was on that team. One of the greatest free agent signings in Phillies history right there. NFL Films is still great, but I don't think the NFL wants old school documentaries anymore about its history and historic games. Yeah, I mean, maybe not. Somebody posted a video of like Ray Lewis hits. And that's not old school. That's just recent old school. And I don't think the NFL even wants that kind of stuff floating around. I watched this 2-minute clip of Ray Lewis, hits, and I think 60 to 70% of them would be considered illegal hits now. They don't want the kids today learning that way. Good morning, Rolla. Frankly, I'm so tired of this conversation. People can't see by now the type of player Jalen Hurts is. There's no helping them. Absolutely. And it's straight just nonsense when they talk like that, Rolla. It is. I don't know how to produce a good sports talk conversation. So let me say some asinine so everybody can call and bash. And look, it works. Because here we are, 52 minutes into today's show, and we're talking about it. But I do think the culture aspect of it doesn't get to, he doesn't throw this kind of throw, or he can't do this or that. But I think they don't take into account the leadership, the attitude, the off-the-field work, the culture. And that just takes him from being a great athlete to an even better, more important athlete. Do we have the NFL treatment for Eagles Super Bowl yet? No, I don't think so. Hurts is Captain Clutch. After his performance he displayed at the Super Bowl, he deserves to be top 5 for sure. Top 5 quarterback in the NFL? Yes. Top 3? Absolutely. Number 1 in Philadelphia right now, most likely. LeBron won with toxic culture. Did he? Because LeBron was big, or the Lakers. Okay, so I'm sorry. I saw LeBron, not Lakers. LeBron, but I'll put LeBron with that. I mean, LeBron always brings his buddies in, so at least the culture is semi-enjoyable because he's got all his friends around. I don't know. Didn't Shaq and Kobe dislike each other? Yes, there was. There was some animosity between Kobe and Shaq early in their first run. Absolutely. All right, so there's sometimes. It's not frequent. We'll say that. That Jack Tatum hit in the Super Bowl would result in a 10-game suspension today. So many things of past football can't be shown because it's not what's wanted in the NFL anymore. And I get that. Hurts is a very efficient quarterback. It's easy to see. He's efficient. He's smart. He knows things. I'm smart. I know things. But he's willing to he's more than just efficient. He can be a great quarterback. He's willing to put his statistics aside for the betterment of the team if that's what's best for the team. Yeah, when A.J. Brown last year says we got to throw more, be better passing, there's a little selfishness in that comment from him. Jalen Hurts could feel like that too, but Jalen Hurts doesn't say it because he knew Saquon Barkley was on the cusp of something great. And you know what? It's fine. We can take a step back. in our passing numbers. We've all been paid. It's about the team. It's about winning the title. Shaq and Kobe's Lakers, to be exact. Yes, absolutely. Muchas gracias. Let's get David Archeri. Yeah. Maybe I'll reach out. I've reached out. I got 2 guys. I'm working on dates with 2 specific people, 1 media member, 1 TV media member, and 1 former NFL player. We're working out the dates. The former NFL player is also a media guy now in the city. So I'm working on 2 great guests. We've got Sean Bernard coming on next week for NBA draft coverage on Wednesday. We'll have Dives on Thursday recapping the NBA draft. Maybe I'll reach out to David Archer. Maybe. At some point this summer, I'll find out how to do that. Hurts is fine, but Mister, muchas gracias. Thank you very much. Hurts is fine. You just win with him in a way most people don't like. What would you rather, though? Win or not win, but do it in a way that people are entertained. I'd rather win in a boring fashion than lose in an exciting fashion. Like, what's better, winning the Super Bowl? Everyone always puts, and here, this just popped into my head, so this might not even make sense. Everybody talks about the Super Bowl, right? Or no, fact checker. Everyone talks about Josh Allen being the best quarterback or one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Not Jalen Hurts, right? Now, what would you rather do? Lose that playoff championship game or divisional round game to the Chiefs a couple of years ago where he put up 6,000 points in the fourth quarter in overtime, but lost, but did it in such an exciting way? Would you rather be Josh Allen in that situation or Jalen Hurts winning the damn Super Bowl? I'd rather boringly win the Super Bowl than be Josh Allen, who's, got all the stats and the numbers, but he's missing that championship. It's exactly like Terry Bradshaw. Team over culture, or team over individual. Roland says, Jeff Passan just said on ESPN Radio, the Phillies are trying to get Cedric Mullins from the Orioles to play everyday center field. Definitely an upgrade over Marsh. Now, Marsh has gotten a little bit better since his injury. Not good enough. Cedric Mullins would be a massive upgrade. So, just hypothetically, and I've heard this rumor before that they were looking into it. Now, if they're pushing very hard for it, great. So, here's my question. So, A, not knowing what Cedric Mullins is going to cost. Maybe Rojas or Marsh are involved in that deal to help the situation. So what happens with the outfield if you go get Cedric Mullins? You got Castian right, Mullins in center. Then do you have Rojas and Kepler platoon in left field? Marsh and Kepler, they're both lefties. If Marsh isn't involved in the deal, you're kind of in a weird position with Brandon Marsh, right? Brandon Marsh is not a pinch hitter, bench player. You kind of got to get Marsh involved in that deal, or it creates a logjam on the big league level. Because you can't have Kepler and Marsh platooning left field as 2 left-handed hitters. Unless you get Kepler involved in the deal somehow. I don't know. I also wonder what Cedric Mullins is going to cost. I do. And you know what? I'm all for it. The Phillies need to go all in at this point. They should go all in at this point. Some people who don't like the aesthetics of the tush book. Same people. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Dooms. It's exactly right. A well-respected content creator had a spot-on take on Jalen Hurts. He was supposed to be a backup because he played himself out of that narrative. They can't bring them. Absolutely. And go ahead, shout it out. I want to know who said this because I love this. I've only heard this once or twice by other people because he played himself out of being a backup. People hate him. And I always say when I was first starting out, I had literally my first podcast ever was recording a draft recap of 2020, right after the draft. And draft night was the first time I ever had a tweet really blow up. And I said I was disappointed in the Eagles drafting Jalen Hurts. Why? Not because I didn't think he was talented, because I liked Jalen Hurts and I wanted him to have a chance to start. And we didn't know that the Carson Wentz collapse was going to happen like that. And I didn't think he was going to get a chance to play here. If I got David Archeri, I guarantee that's not. A win is a win. I mean, there's that argument that ugly wins don't count. We've had that conversation plenty of times in 23 or 23 on this show. Marsh is seeing the ball well right now. You could see the increased confidence. Yeah, one of those guys that definitely benefited from getting hurt and going on the injured list for a little bit. Mullins, Kepler, and Cassie. Marsh can be a utility outfielder if he's not in the deal. But see, the thing is, then in that situation, you're demoting Rojas. So you got 3 left-handed outfielders and 1 righty. I don't know. You're not benching Kepler ever for Marsh. In reality, I think Marsh has to be in the deal to make it work. I mean, so I don't know. To be able to go get real sponsors, a lot more than what we've got right now. Phil's always trade with the Orioles because Dombrowski has a good relationship with that organization. That's good. We'll see. Let's hope it works out better than last year when we traded for Austin Hayes. Yeah, give me 40-22. Just give me a Super Bowl win, period. I'll take, well, what was that Super Bowl? Rams Super Bowl. It was like 10-3 or something like that. Hell, give me a 10-3 Super Bowl victory. I don't really care. Hard work beats talent every time. Hurts isn't as talented as a passer. No. Jalen Hurts is never going to be the most physically gifted quarterback. But he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks always because of the work ethic, because of the leadership, because the willingness to do whatever it takes. And he's still a damn good quarterback. If you're going just on pure arm talent alone, Jalen Hurts is still a top 10, 12 quarterback in the NFL. And then he throws in that winning attitude. He's just got the it factor. Kepler's on such a great roll right now. There's a lot of guys playing really well right now for the Phillies. Hence 5 wins in a row. Keaton, Evan, Anthony, the answer in Lehigh Valley. You know way more than I do about Lehigh Valley and the Miners. Rojas is terrible. He's got to go. Yeah, but again, and I'm not disagreeing. I want Justin Crawford up here right now. And does Cedric Mullins stall Justin Crawford from coming up or not? I don't know. But Rojas has got to go. I get it. But your outfield of Casty, Kepler, and Mullins, you can't. I don't know if you can keep Marsh there. Kepler reminds me a little bit of left-handed hitting Jason Worth. I don't see that, but maybe I have to think about that. Lord Brunson. I know Lord Brunson. Gotcha. Kepler does have a flair for the dramatic. I will say that. Max Kepler has. Someone put up the stat the other day that I know he had another home run last night. So maybe it's like 6 and 9 of his home runs now this year have been in the 7th inning or later. So he's got a little bit of flair for the dramatic, Max Kepler. I think maybe Max Kepler would be less of an issue for me with Cedric Mullins out there. Right now, he's the second best outfielder on the team. Being the third best outfielder might change things. Why do people forget he was the MVP hunt just 3 years ago? He could put up. Absolutely agree, Duck. And this is the thing. They forget he was an MVP candidate. Hell, he was an MVP candidate in 2023, too. Through 11 weeks, I remember looking, he was the favorite to win the MVP after that Buffalo Bills win. But then the season collapsed and he fell out of that race. Fine. But this is the thing. This is the culture, the excellence, the leadership. You've got Saquon Barkley doing something that's only been done 8 other times. So you take a step back. Let him have his day. Just like Saquon said, I don't need to run anymore today. Let the young guys eat. Saquon Barkley could have set a personal great record. I said, no, let's get the young guys some opportunity. That's a culture. Jalen says Saquon Barkley's dominating. Let's ride that till he stops. And you know when it stopped Saquon Barkley's dominance? In the Super Bowl. And what did Saquon Barkley or Jalen Hurts do? He won the damn Super Bowl MVP and dominated Patrick Mahomes in that game. It's all about the culture. Watch Keaton Allen hit for a week and tell me you aren't fired up. I don't even know who he is. Honestly, News. I'll have to look it up later. All I know is Bowman Marsh have snapped out of it, and so have the Phillies. They have. They seem like they're playing very well right now. For sure. Absolutely, guys. And it's top of the hour. 19, 20 people watching right now. There's only 13 likes. So if you haven't already, please like, please share, please subscribe, and vote on our poll question. Would you trade Tyrese Maxey for 4 or more first-round picks? Yes, no. No, but for 5, yes. You are crazy for asking. So do all those things, guys. I'd greatly, greatly appreciate it. I hope everyone does try to sell out to the run. Yeah. We proved in the Super Bowl that if you sell out to stop Saquon, Jalen Hurts can still beat you because he is an MVP caliber quarterback. I'm going to enjoy Michael Jordan trash talking on the NBA players next season. It's going to be a roast fest. Why is this? Barkley could have also taken the single season record if he ran the last few plays. Absolutely. He could have played that last game. Absolutely. But he put team above individual accomplishments. And again, that starts with Jalen Hurts setting that tone. And that alone puts Jalen Hurts as the number 1 athlete in Philly. He set the tone and set, a culture up where excellence, where it trumped the culture, the locker room, the team means more than anything else. I'm so impressed by Hurts. I'm so happy the Eagles drafted him. I used to watch a lot of college football. In his freshman year, I started following Jalen Hurts' career. And when he got benched for an injury for Tua, I felt bad. And I started to really pay closer attention to him at that moment. And I thought I wanted that Oklahoma-Alabama championship game in the playoffs that last year of his so bad to be for the title. So Jalen could stick it to Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. I wanted that so bad, Anthony. But when he came here, Jalen Hurts or Carson Wentz, he's coming off 2019, coming off that concussion. And I wanted him to get another chance. I was a huge Carson Wentz supporter. Thought he wasn't going to get an opportunity here, Jalen Hurts. Didn't want a gimmick backup quarterback that was going to be brought in 3 plays a game to run a tush-push. I wanted Jalen Hurts to have an opportunity to start. And you know what? Jalen Hurts did get an opportunity to start. He ripped it right away, right then and there in 2020. Part of that was Carson collapsing. Maxey would be for 5. Sure. I would absolutely do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want them to shop him around. But if the Sixers are offered 5 first-round picks, let's just say it's 5 first-round picks. Let's break it down. 3 unprotected first-round picks, 2 protected first-round picks, and 2 pick swaps. It'd be insane not to accept it. Hurts is old soul in a hot take world. Absolutely love this comment. Hurts is an old soul in a hot take world. He just is. I re-listened to, and it's an older clip, but it's been circulating the last couple days. Nicole Lynn, she's the president of football operations for Clutch Sports. She negotiated Jalen Hurts' contract. And she said, don't screw the team. Make sure there's money to keep this team around. And when he was told, you just got offered the richest contract in football at the time, he said, hold on. Before I sign it, I didn't ask to be the richest. So show me how this is not going to hurt the team. Break down the salary cap implications every year of this contract so I know it's not going to hurt this team. Just think about that. What athlete currently playing in any sport would say, hold on a second. Yeah, you're offering me a lot of money, the most ever. But show me how it's not going to hurt the rest of the team from being built to a contender. Name me another athlete in Philadelphia that would even remotely come close to doing that. I hope the Hurts hope continues. It can motivate him, Hurts hate, I think is what you meant. Motivate him and his team accomplish half of what the Patriots accomplished. That would be a great success. Absolutely agree. Hurts will miss the calming effects of Kenny Gainwell. Anytime you can stick a Kenny Gainwell comment in, I appreciate it. Have you heard that Jordan is going to be an NBA analyst? I did not hear that. Who's he going to be working for? What station? I did not hear that. I get that's why you're saying that, mister. I did not hear that. And I'm I don't know if he's going to be good at it or not, but I'm all for it. Wentz never learned to handle struggle with any type of grace whatsoever. A lot happened to him in a small time. Look, I don't want to turn this into a Carson Wentz hate or love fest or whatever, or excuse fest. I mean, the injuries got to him. It did. Smitty also has a calm about him. He can also be emotional, so relatable. Yeah, absolutely. Jalen Brunson did that for the Knicks. He took a little bit of a pay cut, yes. But also, I don't think he makes the team, the culture, the locker room better. How do I say that? Like, he's got his dad as an assistant coach. I kind of feel like Jalen Brunson is still a me person. Maybe financially he took a little bit, and that could be compared to Jalen Hurts. But I think Jalen Brunson is still a me guy, a me first kind of guy. Last night, my son thanked me for not naming him Tixie. Is this Mitchy Poo in disguise? Jordan owns part of a NASCAR team too. I have no idea. Not really a NASCAR guy. You know why Rodgers looks like a good teammate in Pittsburgh? Is Kenny. Man. If the Pittsburgh, if Aaron Rodgers wins another Super Bowl, it's going to be because of Kenny Gainwell, right? Kenny Gainwell reeled Aaron Rodgers in and brought the best out of Aaron Rodgers. Kenny Gainwell will be the answer to making Aaron Rodgers a normal human being again, right? Oh my God, we love you too, Judd. Okay, we love you too. Let's not joke about it. You know, there's a lot of love going around here. Anyway, let's get back on track. Culture. This has actually been a very fun conversation today. It's been a very entertaining conversation with some great little quips in here and all. Yeah, look, I love you. I do. You know, Nooms, I see you comment. I've got a question for you. And somebody suggested this before, and I don't know a lot about it, and I don't know necessarily I have the time for it. But you always comment and want to chat on YouTube. Should I create like some kind of Discord chat or Slack channel or something where I can have you all sign up so we can chat about sports? I know, Nooms, you love to comment and send me opinions. You're not on Twitter. Do I need to start another form of communication, not Twitter related? So all you that aren't on Twitter have a way to communicate, chat throughout the day with. Do we need a Discord channel? Do we need a Slack channel where we can all joke and bust chops and do things? Is that something people want? And what would we want? I think Rodgers is looking more normal with the effects of marriage. And where did this whole he got married thing? Everybody, say Jalen got married. Josh Allen got married. Aaron Rodgers got married. Who in their right mind would marry Aaron Rodgers? First off, Jordan can probably be a good analyst as long as it's not a Hall of Fame speech, Jordan. Yeah. The Illuminati thing. Yeah, it is. The Illuminati Discord. Yeah. Jordan signed a contract with NBC. Okay. Going to compete against Charles Barkley just so he can say he's better than him in analyst. So is Jordan going to be like on their? I know NBC's taking over the NBA broadcast and all next year, and bringing back that classic theme music. But is he going to be their pregame, postgame show guy, or is he doing games? Is he going to be a courtside analyst, or is he just doing a pregame, postgame show? So I'm just curious. Aaron Rodgers is so rich. I would marry him just so you could get closer to Kenny Gainwell, though, right? You would do it just for Kenny Gainwell. I set my social media limit. Otherwise, I'd be on Twitter getting myself fired. Yeah, that too. I'm sure there's a prenup going in on that one, for sure. Although he might be just dumb enough not to have one. This conversation about culture has been very entertaining, very interesting. Well, Hurts was already married. A really nice ceremony and reception is what happened this last week. This was for friends. No, I know. But this whole off season, they've all been getting married, and it's interesting. It's the summer. It's the off season of weddings for quarterbacks in the NFL. Is what it is, I guess. But anyway, I really want to find out how we could change the culture of the Phillies to get them over the top. How we could change the culture of the Sixers to right the ship. And I'm not even get them over the top. Right the ship. Because when I look at the Eagles, will they win the Super Bowl again? I think so. I hope so. Will they? I don't know this year. But I got confidence. But then my confidence has stepped down on the Phillies. But they're close. But my confidence that the Sixers will ever compete for a title anytime soon is so far gone that you need a complete culture shift in the organization. You need to build it in content or caretaker, yeah. And no offense, K1, I know you love your Kenny Gainwell, but I can't say that I've rooted for the failure and the downfall of an organization as much as I'm rooting for the downfall of the Pittsburgh Steelers because they brought in Aaron Rodgers. They deserve the downfall that they're about to get, and I am all for it. And I can't wait to laugh at them so much. I've watched bits and pieces of some of their work, the Exciting Mics. It's better than the Kelsey Brothers pod, in my opinion. Yeah, I think the Kelsey pod problem is just we have Kelsey brother fatigue at this point. I don't see it happening with the Exciting Whites. Not yet, at least. I just think there's the Kelsey pod isn't bad. It's entertaining. But there's Kelsey fatigue. I don't even know. Are they still doing it? I haven't even tried to find a Kelsey pod in ages. Alan married up the Steinfeld woman. Is gorgeous, a pretty great person from what I've seen. I don't know anything about that. I don't know who anybody married on anybody's side at all. Not really into that kind of stuff. I just think it's kind of funny, honestly, at this point. Still only 13 likes on this video. There are 18 people watching. We got 17 votes, but only 13 likes. That means 13. That means at least probably 6 or 8 of you have not hit that like button. So like, share, subscribe, vote. Final 10 minutes of the show today. When I retire, I'm lighting up whatever the social media thing is and being called an old man because podcast will be so yes, that's true. The podcast boom. When is that going to be? When is that going to, peak and then crash down? I mean, it already has podcasts. I mean, during COVID, everybody was podcasting, and you slowly see them fall off. But here I am, still with you every single day, grinding away for a couple likes, a couple views, and a couple new subscribers. Hallie Stenfield is the actress. Oh, I never watched the Hawkeye TV show. Gotcha. Kelsey fatigue is a real thing, honestly. Kelsey's just kind of need to go away for a little bit. They won't. Jason's still with ESPN. But there's definitely Kelsey fatigue. There will never be. I hope there's never Phil fatigue. I hope not. Did you hit the like button? I hope everybody did. Good morning, Chet. How you doing today? Chet's got a great show tomorrow. We're talking culture, Chet, today, and how culture breeds excellence, and how Eagles culture is a big part of why they won the Super Bowl, and a big reason why the Sixers won't win anything. Culture trumps all. Chet's got Keith Pompey tomorrow, and the Hooters drummer, I can't remember his name, I don't know how to pronounce it, the drummer of the Hooters, on his show tomorrow night. Completely Kelsey saturated, 100%. I think there's nobody that's going to say otherwise on the Kelsey topic. There's no such thing as Phil fatigue. Well, I'm sure there's somebody out there that feels there's Phil fatigue. There's a few people that aren't my biggest supporters out there. All right? In content and in life. Even the greatest of all time. Okay? The greatest of all time has some enemies. Okay? And people that dislike me. I'll be sure to ask Keith Pompey about the Sixers offer. Please do. Ask him about, see, what we're talking about is Jalen Hurts and the culture and how, obviously, he's not on some WIP person's top 11 athlete list in Philadelphia right now. And you can argue whether Jalen Hurts is the best quarterback or not. All right? But I think people don't take into account Jalen Hurts behind the scenes and what he does, leadership-wise, work ethic-wise, culture-wise. And the negative happens with the Sixers. In a long way, too. An excellent culture builds an excellent culture. Bengals have a culture, just not a good one. Yeah, absolutely. Although the tattoo with the big head was pretty funny. What? Lost that one. Lost that one. Lost that one. Talk about Eagles culture with him. I greatly appreciate that. Talk about Eagles or culture in general with Keith Pompey. Talk with the drummer of the Hooters about culture within a band and how important that is. To have long-term success with a band, there's got to be a good band culture. Team over individual is what's important. I can't stand Keith Pompey or Mark, the Mark guy Embiid tried to kill. Well, Marcus Hayes, absolutely agree with you on. Keith Pompey's solid. I don't have an issue with Keith Pompey. He's not the greatest anymore, but he's not the worst at all. I have no issues with Keith Pompey. Yeah, Marcus Haystack. Marcus Hayes is the most punchable guy out there. He will. That means he's doing his job, yeah. I don't know about that. Marcus Hayes took things a little too far last year in the Joel Embiid situation. A little too far, okay? Now, Joel Embiid might have taken it too far, grabbing at his throat and trying to fight him, but that I blame on the Sixers organization, allowing the two of them to be in the same room together. It's like a WWE situation there brewing. But Marcus Hayes, let's not give that guy any press or time or anything. Please, let's not do that. Guys, tonight, 6 p.m., Fairway to Heaven, recapping the U.S. Open, J.J. Spawn's victory, the weather, the drama coming out of the U.S. Open, this week's Travelers Championship. You don't have to worry about culture in golf because golf's an individual sport. Now, the PGA culture, the league is a problem, but there's no team culture issues. Maybe with LIV and their team sport there, but maybe the Presidents or Ryder Cup, you need good culture. But there's good and bad behavior in golf, and there's some bad behavior at the U.S. Open this week. You didn't see the dude with the tattoos that has Kelsey. Oh, yes, I did see that. Nooms. I totally forgot. I saw that passing through, going through, and I never wrote it down in my book. Totally forgot about that. That's definitely taking it a little too far. And even Jason Kelsey was like, I don't know, but I love this. Or absolutely, atrocious by that. Pompey blocked me one time, and I emailed him during the early process error. I've always wanted to email Mike Missinelli and see why he blocked me and get unblocked. Whether you like him or not, whatever. But yeah, Keith Pompey, I don't have any issues with him. Yeah, I would ask Billy King, why did you turn me down for a fist pump? At the Bellevue in the valet line. I didn't say anything bad. I was like, what's up, Billy? And he looked at me, got out of line, and walked away. Like, what did I do to you? We're talking over 20 years ago. Forget Billy King. Culture. That was the name of the game today, guys. And I enjoy culture conversations like this. But it was a picture. It was a cartoon character of Kelsey naked, and where his schlong comes out, it was a big giant eagle coming out. It was really weird. Like what people get. Like I've got 1, 2, 3. I got 5 tattoos. I love tattoos. I would have 5 more if I could afford them. But some people take their tattoos a little too far, for sure. They don't think about the after effects of getting that tattoo. Charles Barkley would have thrown Marcus Hayes through a window. That was the good old days, yes. And he would have been justified in doing it. Absolutely. My brother, older brother, way back in the day, worked at a food store while Barkley was still playing for the Sixers. And the food store was in his neighborhood and used to shop in there. And he said people would always chase him down and be trying. This was before cell phones, obviously, and whatnot, and even digital cameras and disposable cameras. But people would always harass him. Missinelli still owes me a Flyers jersey for naming 5 French Flyers goalies. Missinelli is still owed a lot of money. What's going to happen first, okay? The Jacob Media Mike Missinelli lawsuit ends or is settled, or the Sixers win an NBA championship. What happens first? Because both those situations may drag on for several more decades. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. He turned down. I don't even know who that is. I couldn't name one French goaltender. I couldn't name one French athlete in the NHL. Couldn't do any of it. But whatever. It's all good. The lawsuit will end first. I don't know about that. This thing has been extended and pushed off, and this deposition and that deposition, this lawyer, that lawyer, that Jacob Media, Mike Missinelli thing is hilariously dragging on. And his producer even called it out. Good for that. What time frame was that? When was that? You got way too much knowledge in that brain to even know one French Flyers goalie versus a million. Anyway, guys, it's time to start the wrap-up process here. If you haven't already, like and share and subscribe. Final votes, we got 53% say yes, they would trade Tyrese Maxey for 4 more first-round picks. 18% said no. 24% said no, but for 5 maybe. And one person, K1, voted no. You are crazy for even asking. Thanks, K1. But anyway, like, share, subscribe. Tomorrow, what will we talk about tomorrow? I don't know. We'll see what happens today. What's in my notebook here? Interesting. Got some different things here. Got some different things we could maybe tap into tomorrow. Obviously, more Phillies, more Sixers. I don't have a guest lined up for tomorrow yet, but I'm working on 2 very special guests, plus Sean Bernard next week on Wednesday, and Dives, Mr. Crockpot himself, on Thursday next week. We'll see what we talk about tomorrow. I got some different words written down here that can cue up the conversation and continue this conversation tomorrow. So anyway, guys, we'll talk another Phillies win. Jesus Luzardo goes tonight. Can he continue to rebound from his bad starts? He did last game. Let's build upon it, right? But anyway, guys, we're going to wrap this up. Shout out to Mr. Gracias for the super chat. Muchas gracias. I appreciate it. Like, share, subscribe, guys. Vote on the polls. We'll be back tomorrow. Live tonight, 6 p.m. Fairway to Heaven, talking Travelers Championship, U.S. Open, Jason, Steven, and special guest Scotty Haldridge, who, if you know who John Morrison is, WWE former wrestler, you'll understand why don't call him John Morrison all the time, because he looks exactly like him. Thank you, Adam. Thank you to everybody that tuned in, all the great comments today. I think this was a very fun and entertaining show. Very interesting conversation. Marty Bloom. I figured you were going to say Bernie Perrant was one of them. And I've heard of Maxime Ouellette for some reason. Never heard of any of the other ones. Thank you very much, Judd. Have a great day, my man. Missinelli is old. When God formed the earth and made man, Missinelli was already here talking to like that. That's a great way to wrap up the show. Everybody have a great Tuesday. Go Birds. My bubble's up.